Hello creators! How are you guys? It's great to hang out with you again for another Video Creators Podcast episode, and I am excited to dive in with you today. So I just came back from VidCon yesterday, and if you're not familiar with what VidCon is, it's like the industry's one of their biggest events for YouTube creators, and now even Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and LinkedIn and all the social networks out there, especially revolving around how do we use videos to reach people and grow our businesses, and in our case, also change lives, right? And they announced several new features on YouTube. Some features they didn't announce, but we know are actually in testing and out in the wild, which we'll talk about here today as well. And what I want to do is dive in with you guys to what these 8 new things are on YouTube, share a couple thoughts, how we use these things, and we got to go through them pretty quickly because there are 8 and we've got a lot to go through. But all of these tools are really designed to help us as creators, especially, and I know a lot of you guys love this, is to make more money on YouTube and with our channels. And it's going to be fun. All right, so we're going to dive in here. Now, Laura, my producer, is not in the chat. For those of you guys who are listening live, I know a lot of you guys are listening to the podcast episode of this later. So we love you guys, the podience, I sometimes call them, which is controversial. But for those of you guys who are in the chat here, ask your questions. Laura is still at VidCon, actually, my producer. But Lennon, maybe you remember him from a few episodes ago, one of my YouTube strategists, is here. He's Sound and Patterns in the chat, and he will be taking your questions and putting them in front of us here and your thoughts. And so what I want to do today is not just hear questions, though, because I'm not really necessarily an expert on all 8 of these things yet because they're brand new. I'm still learning to use them myself. But I want to hear a lot of your reactions to this as well. And so what are some of your pushback? What are some ideas? Whatever you're like, hey, this was great, but they missed it here. Or I didn't even think that could be a possible thing. That's awesome. Whatever. Leave that in the chat, and Lennon will be putting that in front of me here, and we'll get to those here in a little bit as we get towards the end of our time here together. There are links for whether you're watching this live or you are listening to the podcast of this. They're recording this later. Links are in the show notes down below or wherever you find those things, depending on the app you use. You can find all those links and dig into any of these things in more detail. So thank you, 4Gs, for the super chat. Appreciate that. And with that, let's dive in. So the first things that was announced at VidCon, we're going to go over the new features that revolve around how we make money on YouTube first, right? And so one of the first things that they talked about is Super Chat. Now, Super Chat is not a new thing. You guys know what that is. In fact, we've already had some here already. And a lot of people are use that. Some updated stats they gave us is that YouTube is now on over 90,000 channels have actually received super chats, and some of them have been earning over $400 per minute. Woo! $400 a minute. And they also said that Super Chat is now the #1 revenue stream on YouTube for nearly 20,000 channels, which is an increase of over 65% from last year. So Super Chat is gaining momentum. So they're investing into that. So a few new features that they've added to Super Chat. This one is not released yet, but it's coming. They introduced Super Stickers. And so what Super Stickers is it allows you to do some cool things here. So for you guys on the live stream, you can see this on your screen right now. The podcast, you can go check out the blog post to see this in a little bit more detail. But what they are is when you do a super chat, you'll be able to add. It makes it way bigger. First of all, like we aren't talking like a little line of text. It still pops out with a color behind it in the chat. But now there will be like think of it as like a GIF kind of, it's just like this active animated emoji that you can then add to your super chat. Give people another incentive, another reason to want to give a super chat while they're watching. So they can add some text, but now they can add a little more personality to it. And so YouTube says that stickers will come in a variety of different designs across different languages and categories, such as gaming, fashion, beauty, sports, music, food, and more. And so it doesn't sound like it's something, at least right now, that we'll be able to customize as creators. Looks like they'll just be kind of like a default set of of emojis that you can use, and people can now do those super stickers along with their super chats. Okay. Now, also what's coming, and in terms of another way to make money on your channels, well, let's talk about channel memberships here in a second. I see the chat going. But also YouTube premium users. This is a test right now, so it's not like an actual official announced thing, but it's been seen in the wild. And so while we're talking about Super Chat, I thought it would be good to also mention that you can also do a thing where you are let's see, here we go. Google, my live streaming thing is going crazy. Here we go. There. Let's see here. Where are we? You guys see this? Okay. While we're talking about Super Chat, though, there's another feature out that is not an official premium, like an officially announced feature yet from YouTube, but it is something that is out in the test, is out in the wild, and this is free Super Chat credit, and this is only for YouTube Premium users. So those of you who are paying that monthly fee to remove ads from YouTube, to get access to YouTube Originals and get access to YouTube Music and all the perks that are added along with YouTube Premium. One of the features I use the most is actually the ability to download videos inside the YouTube app and watch them offline. So whenever I'm traveling and in an airplane and I don't want to pay the like $50 for 5 minutes of internet or whatever it is, that doesn't allow streaming a video anyway, I can download a lot of my subscriptions and things to the YouTube app and watch those later. All those chats, all those features that come with YouTube Premium, that they are now experimenting with I see some of you guys now doing it in the chat here. Yeah, you get one free Super Chat at a $2 value. Now, it seems like the test that they're doing is you can either do one Super Chat for $2, or you can do 2 Super Chats for like $1.99 or something, which seems like what some of you guys are experimenting with here. So when you click on the Super Chat, which thank you, by the way, I appreciate that. So I think it's a response to kind of like Twitch, or Twitch Prime. Those people can subscribe and support at least like one new streamer, one new account every month. And then each month they can either re-up it or they can pick another person. It's just built into the Prime membership, and that person gets like a small cut of that. I think that's what they're kind of experimenting with here. So instead of being a member on someone's channel for a month, which would be more of like a one-to-one equation to Twitch Prime, this is like, hey, we're going to give you $2 and you can give it to whichever creators that you want each month in free Super Chats. So you guys can check that out. And now this only shows up on mobile, by the way. So if you're on desktop, apparently it's not a thing. You can't see it, but you do get to use this if you are a mobile users. Now, speaking also of making more money, one of the announcements that I think people have been teasing this for a while, but now it is official that with channel memberships, they now offer multiple levels, multiple tiers. Now, it's not rolling out to everyone immediately, but you can now select up to 5 different price points for your channel memberships and have different perks for each one. So, for example, you could have like a $2 price perk, point on your, say that 5 times fast, price point perk on your channel. That's like a certain number, like certain level of perks. And then you have like a $5, $10 up to like $100. Although I do have this feature, but mine only goes up to $50. So maybe different channels get access at different levels. I'm not sure, but so you can add, now people can sign up. And so YouTube says that with the testing that they've done by offering different levels on different channels, they've seen membership revenue increase by 6 times, which is a lot. 6 times after introducing 2 higher priced tiers. And so you guys can check and see if you have that yet or not. I do have access to it, but I haven't actually made it active yet on my channel. One of the things I found that's interesting too that YouTube didn't announce, but if you look at some of these channels who currently do have multi-tier memberships activated on their channel, you'll see at the top that there's a video, a special video that is just like pitching the perks below. And so I've made one. It's ready to go. Like I said, I just haven't implemented all this on my channel yet, but it's a quick video. Mine's like a minute long, where I'm just saying, hey, here's the welcome. Thanks for checking out my membership options. Here's what we got going on. We'd love to have you join. Here's what you get. Here's how to get your notifications. Like any just kind of custom thing you want to say in that video, you make it an unlisted video. And if you have access to that feature, or maybe to someone at YouTube or whatever, however, I don't think it's rolled out officially, but I have seen that on a couple of different channels. So that might be coming. That's also another test that we're seeing right now that is, again, not officially announced, but could be coming in the future. And I think it's a great idea. We see that on Patreon, where it kind of just adds like this personal touch. When someone clicks join, it's a little less of like just like a cold transaction, and a little bit more of like, oh, they're welcoming me and they're saying thanks, and they're giving me a little opportunity. Like, I was going to sign up for this level, but now that I've seen their video and understand better what's behind this other level, I'm going to go for that level instead, right? That kind of thing. So be interesting to see what happens there. That was number 3. So number 4, the fourth new feature that they're rolling out is the merch shelf. Now, the merch shelf has been around for a while, right? It's not surprising. Like, that's not a big announcement, where they had a partnership with Teespring that allowed creators to make custom merch for their channel and then integrate the sale of that easily just below the video across YouTube, across their videos on YouTube. And so it made it a lot easier for fans to watch a video and then see that they have a t-shirt or a hat or a mug or, whatever, iPhone case, and they click and they go in and make that transaction. Well, a lot of creators are like, hey, we love this idea, but we don't want to use Teespring, or we're using this other vendor or something already, and we can't move everything over to Teespring. So already available for you as of this recording, YouTube has added 5 new partners that you can use with the merch shelf, including CrowdMade, DFTBA, Fanjoy, Represent, and Rooster Teeth. Can all use that merch shelf as well. And they said that they're also, I think it was just Teespring and Spotify, I think is in there, or not Spotify, Shopify, I believe is in there too. But they're rolling out to more and more partners, and it seems like that might be a direction that they're going. So if whatever partner you are currently using is not already eligible for the merch shelf, you can go ahead and check that out. Okay, so a lot of new ways to make more money on YouTube. Now let's talk about some of the other things that they're implementing here that will help us in how we grow our channels and manage our channels and grow our audiences. That's the next 4 kind of revolve around that. So number 1, I thought this was like amazing. What is very, very fascinating, like what they're doing here with this, and that is they have created something called learning playlists. Now, playlists are not new, right? They've been around for a while, and you can organize your content into a certain order you want people to watch, and they can click on one video and get into the next video. We've talked about playlists extensively here on this channel because they are a really great way to get people to watch not just one video on your channel, but another video and another video and another video, and there's tools you can use to optimize those playlists, and all that kind of stuff, right? So now, but there's this new kind of playlist called a learning playlist, and these are specifically created for people who have educational channels. And the way I think about it is, think about this as like if you were going to make an online course, but you just wanted to make it free on your YouTube channel. You didn't want to put it behind a paywall or put it on a different platform or anything. You just wanted it on your channel, but you wanted these videos to make sure that they were played sequentially in order, because it's going to be like a 18-part series, not series, but lessons, right? They already have a series tool, which is being depreciated and phased out. But this is YouTube Learning that puts them is different. It functions differently. So if you guys are here watching, you should be able to see this here on my screen. Right there. And what it looks like is, you can look by the design, it's very, very different. And you can break your videos up inside this playlist into different modules, and each module can contain a certain number of videos, and then an overall course, which would be like the full playlist. And they can save this playlist. You can play through the whole thing if you want. You can like save this playlist to your account so you can find it easy and go back and watch later, because unless you have tons of free time to finish like a multi-hour course all at once. They have learning objectives you can add to this. And what I think is the most interesting actually is that what happens inside of a learning playlist is that they actually remove recommended videos from the watch page. So like, you know, you're normally watching a video on YouTube and you have all these other videos around it competing. That goes away. And now you can just watch the video. There's no more suggested videos, no more recommended videos. They are just going to keep you inside that learning playlist to go from one video to the next video and stay inside that, and it'll track your progress and everything through that. Now, this is open to a very limited number of partners right now. Khan Academy, TEDx, Crash Course, and a few other people who are working with like chemistry channels and Java, working in Java channels and things like that. So it's only like literally 5, 10 or fewer channels who have this right now as they're testing it out more. But I think like that is just a fascinating thing that YouTube would even consider actually like just making that something that we remove suggested and we just get you from one video to the next video to the next video. So that is learning playlist. Number 6, another thing that they're doing is this thing called YouTube Giving. And now it's been around for a while. I don't think this is like a huge announcement because like I've kind of seen this in different places on YouTube already, but I think they're just kind of making this more official now. They began last year to test this thing called YouTube Giving, which is a fundraising tool that allows creators to use their voice on YouTube to support whatever charitable causes they care about. And it's something that they've tested with a lot of different channels. And basically, it's different than Super Chat, where the revenue split is 70% goes to the creator, 30% goes to YouTube. This is like, I think YouTube takes like 5% just to kind of cover, and this, don't quote me on this, I don't know this officially, but it is very, very low. I think it's like they don't take anything, like only processing fees and charges, or it's like as much as 5%. I probably should have looked that up before I started talking about it. But now when you do like live streams on your channel, if you want to support a charity or a nonprofit, fans can now directly donate to that nonprofit by simply hitting the donate button with that video, and makes it easier for creators to really raise funds and do campaigns for causes that they really care about on YouTube. Now, the next thing that came out that is a pretty big deal, in my opinion, is some new tools around Content ID. Now, Content ID is not a new tool, right? It's been around for a very, very long time. And recently, they started rolling out to channels to be able to have a little bit more access to that. Before, it was only available to multi-channel networks and big partners. And because it's a very, like, YouTube has to be very careful with this system. There's tremendous power behind this, and just taking down someone else's video, either because you don't like it, or sometimes there was a false match and now you're just terminating, you're like issuing strikes against each other. And that was a big problem even before it was rolled out even more. Like this ability to say, you use some of my content, I'm issuing you a strike. And you can just imagine some of the mayhem that would revolve around that. And so, but YouTube has made a lot of progress of this tool, and they're rolling it out to more and more people, and now it's commonly available among a lot of channels, and you can see exactly who has used part of your content on their videos. And now you can either issue that, like, hey, just take that video down, or you can say like, hey, I'm gonna get monetization from this, or you can just track it and let the person go and just get access to the data, different things like that. But YouTube has improved that now. And so sometimes people use a piece of content and they're like, oh, I thought this was fair use. And the person's like, no, that is not fair use, right? You call it a reaction video, but all you're doing is sitting there watching my videos with a webcam on your face. That is not fair use, right? So, and so they now have a tool that for people who submit a copyright claim with this tool on their channel and say, this person is using my material, now you actually have to provide timestamps for the exact part of the video that is being claimed, right? So if you're looking in your YouTube Creator Studio and you're going under there and you're looking at the copyright is if you go to YouTube Creator Studio, and then on the left sidebar, if you have this feature, there's an option there called Copyright. And if you click on Copyright there, it'll show you exactly what's going on, who's using your video, what percentage of your video, and what options do you want to take, and things like that. And so with that, now when it shows up, you have to tell the person this is the part that you need to remove. So then the person who's violating your copyright gets this notification, and now one of the options they have is they can now use one of YouTube's editing tools to manually remove that section of the video from their content. And if they do that, then it automatically releases that claim, and that person can no longer come after you. Okay, so you can, let's say, like someone say, hey, you're using my music and it's not royalty free, you're using this without my permission. And so you can claim like, hey, this is my music, and now in this like time segment of the video, and so now people can use YouTube's tools to remove the music. Now, which I think is probably just going to remove the, it'll just mute it. It's not going to, like if you're talking with music behind you, it's not going to leave your voice and take out the music. It doesn't work that way. It's going to just have to mute it, because at least right now, I don't know of any good systems that are that sophisticated to be able to just remove the music and not the voice. So it'll just get muted, but you can do that, and then you'll be able to keep your video, and that's that. Or you can replace it, like say it's just music for that section of time. You can use a track from YouTube's free music audio library and just replace that section of music with a new track from the library. Or if it's like too complicated and you're like, I don't want to mute it and whatever, you can just trim out that piece of content that's being claimed, and YouTube will just take that one piece out of your video, and now that claim has been released from your video, and you get to keep that video up there. So in terms of how accurate, not how accurate the tool is, but in terms of like the editing tool itself is kind of the cumbersome part of this process. I'm glad that they have it, but any of you who have tried to use it, it is not the most intuitive thing to use, but hopefully it'll be integrated with this in such a way that you can just click a button and be like, yes, remove copyrighted material, and boom, it'll be gone, and it'll reprocess, and the claim will be released. So those different content ID tools I think will be really helpful for a lot of us. But the overall thing, like message though, guys, is, just don't use copyrighted material in your videos, right? Just like, if it's yours, use it. If you didn't create it yourself, or you don't have a license to use it, just don't use it. It'll be a lot easier. You save yourself a lot of headaches. The last thing that I'm going to talk about, number 8 here, are channel notifications. And so let me share with you guys what this looks like. But if you're listening to this later, what you can do is go to your YouTube Creator Studio and click on Analytics in the left sidebar, and then you click on Build an Audience. And when you click on Build an Audience, what you get to do is you can see exactly who is logging in, or who is enabling notifications for your channel, and what percentage of that, and what kind of, like what's going on with notifications on your channel. And so there's 2 options here. You'll see it's called subscriber bell notifications. And so this just shows you who's chosen to receive all notifications from your channel versus how many can actually receive those notifications based on their YouTube settings and device settings. Okay. So for example, I'm looking at my channel right here, and it says the number of subscribers who have turned on all notifications for my channel. And it says for me, that is 11.7%. And even because you like this nice number, like typical for YouTube, which is like, okay, 11%. Is that good? Is that bad? So it says typical for YouTube is 10 to 30%. So, okay, so I'm at 11%. I'm kind of the lower range of typical, but I'm within the typical range. But then the next option was like, well, how many people who will actually get those notifications because of the device settings? And so that could be like, hey, they hit the bell, but they actually have notifications turned off on their device, on their phone. So like they click the bell, but we can't actually deliver any of those notifications because they don't have notifications enabled for YouTube on their phone. Maybe they just turned off notifications, or on their desktop. It could be mobile, or it could be desktop within like a Chrome, Chrome notification or something like that. And so if they hit the bell icon and turn on all notifications, it still doesn't help in terms of push notifications unless they have that the push notification unless they have that enabled for their device. So here you can see on my channel, 11%, 11.7, and it selected all notifications, but only 6.1 are actually reachable, who will actually get that notification for my channel when it goes out. And typical for this is like 5 to 20%. Okay, so I'm at 6.1%. That's still within the typical range. And then after that goes out, then you also need to realize that there's only a small percentage of people who actually will click on those notifications, right? Now that metric's been available for a while. You can see that in your traffic sources in YouTube Analytics. If, go over to traffic sources. You can see one of the traffic sources will be notifications, and you can see exactly how many people actually clicked the notification and got to your video from that metric. And so all really helpful information from YouTube. A lot of people are like, hey, notifications aren't going out, or my people aren't getting notified. And YouTube's like, now you can see exactly what's happening with notifications on your channel. And at VidCon, they talked about how they completely rewrote the entire notification system. And now they have multiple different ways of tracking deliverability and reliability and everything. And they said it's at like 99.9999, like several nines% deliverability. Now they said when you have 2 billion people across the platform, even 99.999999% reliability, there's still going to be, a significant number of people who are going to miss, not significant, but it's like when you're looking at 2 billion active logged in users every month, like that is still gonna, I don't know what the math is, but you're still talking like what, maybe tens of thousands or a couple, I don't know, like people who might get an issue, but overall it is very extremely reliable. And you can see exactly what's happening with your notifications there. The other place you can see notifications though, even if they've rung the bell icon, is if you're looking at your, browsing YouTube at youtube.com, up in the upper right corner next to your name, or next to your icon, if you're logged in, there's that bell there. You click on that bell and there will be notifications in there as well. If you're looking at that, you click on the bell and then you go to not the bell on the front of the channel, but the bell that's for your account notifications. Like I said, in the upper right corner of YouTube, next to your profile image there, you click on that bell. Then there's a gear icon you'll see too, which has settings. And in there, that's where you can really fine tune what settings you want to get, how many you want on desktop, how many, which do you want to, so I have notifications set up for replies to my comments, but I have it turned off for any activity on my video or videos or channel in whole, because that would be way too much, right? I probably shouldn't tell you what notifications I have set up here, but yeah, so and you can have it like push only or email only or push and email notifications or whatever you want. So the shortcut is youtube.com/account_notifications if you want to go straight to that page and be able to see what's going on there. And if you really want to dive in more to how these notification metrics work, there's a link in the show notes or description down below that goes to YouTube's help page that goes into more in-depth about who's turning it on versus who we can actually deliver it to versus then who actually clicks, right? So it's if people say they're not getting notifications even though they click their bell, I'll admit that was a point of confusion for me for a little while. That I turned on notifications for a channel, and I thought that meant push notifications on my phone, but I do have push notifications turned off for YouTube on my mobile device because I don't want them there. I don't want my phone interrupting me all the time. So I have almost all notifications except for phone calls and text messages and a few things from my team enabled there, but other than that, everything else is turned off for notifications. So I was under the impression that I would get it, but it never came through. I'm like, oh, there's a bug, it's not working, just like the rest of us do sometimes. And then I was like, oh no, wait a minute. There's a difference between turning notifications on and then actually getting them delivered, right? But you can still click the bell icon next to your profile image, the upper right, you can still see those there. Okay, let's dive into some questions here. Thank you, Lennon, for putting these in front of me, and questions and comments. So if you have those, feel free to add those now. So we got a couple super chats. Thank you, all of you guys who are sending those. Appreciate that, Greg and Dan the Fireman, as well as Bipolar Gamer DJ. Thank you for the super chat. Missy Moo asking about kid channels. It's a little off topic. So we're not going to get into that, asking about channels flatlining, but there's been a few cases of that, but I don't think we're going to get into that now. Mrs. Samantha Roblox, says, I've been waiting for YouTube giving. Yay. Good. Glad you got that. Welcome, Tech with Brett, new member. Good to have you. All right, let's get into some member questions here. Some of you guys who are members, try to prioritize your questions first. So the Tyven Show. Hey man, good to see you again. If YouTube did not take 45% of ads and 45% of the super chat money, creators could come back to YouTube and donors would give more. So that is not actually accurate. It is 30% of super chat, 70% goes to the creator, 30% goes to YouTube, and a typical rev split on YouTube is 45% to YouTube and 55% to the creator. But that does vary. There are some creators who have different deals with YouTube, but the very typical one is probably that split. The way I look at that is like, I don't think like YouTube taking 45%. Yes, it's bigger than you say iTunes, for example, which is a 30-70 split. Is bigger than some of the other platforms out there, but YouTube is an expensive platform to run. You think of all the hosting that they need to have for however many hours, like 700, 800. I thought the last number was 800 minutes or 800 hours uploaded every minute. Someone else told me it was 500 hours uploaded every minute. But whatever it is, it's a huge, exorbitant number. Like all that hosting costs, and then all the engineering that goes behind delivering that, and the search, and like the ability to click that video, have it instantly play across multiple devices. It's not like running a blog, or it's just like text, right? This is a very expensive platform, and so I would rather YouTube take 45%. And because they're also the ones selling the ads too, right? So it's not like I had to go out and do any work to get those ads either. I think it's fine. I personally, but you guys who've heard me before know that it's also like this is about like this isn't about like, hey, I'm gonna make good content. It's YouTube's job to pay me well. That's not how it works. Like you don't think of yourself as employees. Like I do the hard work, someone else pay me. You think of yourself as business owners. Like I have to create, deliver, and capture value. And it's not YouTube's responsibility necessarily to capture value for me. I take AdSense. It's like 6 or 7% of my total overall revenue from this channel. And it's like, well, from all my channels actually combined. And it's like, so figure out how to capture value, and don't make it YouTube's job to make sure that they pay you. For some people, like I know you don't want to deal with that, that's fine, but then that's the deal, right? So if you want to make more money, figure out a better way to capture value from the value that you're delivering to your audience. Ghost Ninja, have any good info on Google Hangouts? I don't see how to invite people to a new setup. Yes, Google Hangouts and Air are actually going away, if that's what you're asking, and so yeah, that's not going to be a thing anymore. You can still obviously use tools to bring people into your live streams and things, but Google Hangouts on Air as a product is going away. Be Adventure Partners, what's the review process of the copyright claims? Is there any human verifying this? Sounds like it can become a malicious tool. Yeah, like it's kind of what I was saying. So the human process comes in once there's an appeal made. So all of the matching and notifying is automated. But if you're like, hey, no, this is clearly fair use, or no, this is not me just regurgitating a lot of information over and over and over again, like a lot of different, so it's called a content farm, which would be where someone takes, maybe they animate 27 different things, and then they put it together in, 107 different combinations, all the same clips, and upload every combination to see which one performs the best. Google's like, you're not actually offering value to people. You're just like trying to post a lot of nonsense. And so that is against their terms of service. That can be a strike, a takedown, something like this. But so the human verification comes after when the appeal is made. So if you're like, nope, this is not true. Mirko maybe said, maybe it's $400 a minute across all channels. Like it's uploaded hours of videos to YouTube every minute. No, that number was about super chat. So that was people who are actively donating and contributing and making a transaction, not just ad revenue coming in. So it is it's not based on the volume of content. It's like on one stream, and they had a lot of people just doing super chats all at once, and that sounds to me like it probably wouldn't have been a peak, but maybe not. Maybe someone's actually doing that consistently. That'd be awesome. Minecraft and Chill. Will there ever be a super chat equivalent feature for non-streamers, non-streamers, like a simple donate button? It seems like all these features like super chat are only targeted towards streamers. There used to be a donate button a few years ago, and it was like a tip jar type of thing, and nobody ever used it. And so YouTube took it away. It was like, yeah, no one actually clicked it. So, yeah, it just seems like the super chat works because people it works because they like to see the reaction from the person who's live. And so that's really what they're paying for, is attention. Like they want to pay to get in front of that person, have them be noticed and stand out either in the chat from everyone who's watching and or from the person who's actually streaming. And so that's what people are actually doing. So they tried the donate button and it didn't work. I had it, I used it, tried using it for a while, and I think I made a equivalent of like $7 over a few months from it. So, and other people are having the same experience. Relaya Will, donations from YouTube giving, do they count as a tax write-off too? Yeah, I believe so, because you're giving to the 501c3 organization through YouTube. The transaction is happening through YouTube, but you're giving to the organization. So I would think that would count as a write-off. I think when you file your taxes, you need to have an actual statement from that nonprofit in order to claim it. So I'm not exactly sure how that process works, but I would imagine that would be true. But don't quote me. I don't know that for sure. Lily Tree, wonder how they will police the use of learning playlists. So right now they're policing it by not rolling it out very broadly, and only verified, like not verified as within the check mark, but channels that people at YouTube have verified as saying like, this is a channel that will use it. We trust this creator. And there might even be some, like they create the playlist and then it has to be checked by YouTube before it's made public. I know like for your perks, for example, on your membership levels, that's how it works. You submit them to be reviewed, and then once it's approved, then it gets published, but you can't tweak it or change it unless it goes through another review process again. So, which is obviously one reason why they would not roll this out to tons of people, because it takes manpower to actually review and then manually publish each of those. Backcountry Forward, is YouTube basically trying to downplay the significance of notifications instead of just allowing the algorithm to do its thing? Seems like they're moving away from viewer preference. No, not at all. Like they were honoring my preferences when I turned the bell on for YouTube, but I had notifications turned off on my phone. They were actually honoring my preference. So I don't think let's think of this scenario. What would happen if everyone who clicked the bell started just getting push notifications, and there was some sort of technological way where YouTube could bypass the settings and the preferences you've set for your desktop and for your phone, and they could force their way through and they could still push that? Like what would happen? Let's say the average YouTube subscriber subscribes to, let's say, like 125 channels on YouTube. And let's say they enable notifications for all of them. What would happen to their phone? Like they would just be inundated with notifications, and before long they would just swipe and boom, all notifications for the entire YouTube app will be gone. And then when they come to your channel, they're like, oh, I actually would want notifications from this person. Like they wouldn't get it, right? So notifications are a very tricky thing, and it's actually and YouTube has done those tests before, where they've tested like, let's push it to everyone who's and let's see what happens. And the test, they said, always come back negative. It always comes back hurting creators. They said their systems, like people think, like they say they know what they want, but when you look at the actual data, their systems figure out what people want better than people do for themselves. It's kind of a little bit scary. And they wouldn't say it like that. I'm saying it like that, but Yeah, YouTube systems work the best. So they've done multiple tests, tried it a lot of different ways, and the best thing is for them to honor the preferences and push it through. Now, if you feel like people are saying, hey, I'm not getting notifications, then just educate them. Like, hey, do you have notifications turned off on your device or for the YouTube app or on your desktop? Or maybe you went your preferences and you are thinking you were getting an email, but you had it set to push only. You got to make sure your settings are set up correctly. So it could be some education there, but they're not moving away from viewers' preference. The choices are actually in our best interest, both as creators and as consumers, as viewers. Milliwind Chawandi, Tim, is the YouTube sponsor button in beta. We have 231,000 subs and still not sponsor join button. When I asked the YouTube team, it will be available soon, but it's been 8 months. Any ideas? I have channels also that are more than eligible for this, and we still don't have it. So the response I got is you need to meet eligibility requirements, but you also need to have a channel that kind of looks like it would be able to take advantage of it. And so there's some, let's say you're going after kids, right? You're going after 2-year-olds or something. Then they're like, the likelihood of a 2-year-old becoming a sponsor and having a credit card to put in there and everything is unlikely, right? So that channels like that might not be as highly prioritized as this rolls out, as opposed to a channel that's reaching adults, for example, right? So it kind of just depends. They are still rolling it out to more and more people, but they haven't just boom, here it is, everybody. So I think there's some sort of preference like that happening from what I understand. Backcountry Forward says, these are great new tools, but what tools do you think YouTube should still add to help creators? What are you looking forward to and hoping for? That is a great question. What I would love to see happen, but I don't think it's possible. Well, it's probably possible. YouTube can pull off anything, but is a little bit more personal touch with creators, and not all creators, because I think that would be difficult, but they have this thing called the YouTube Partner Program, and some people have a great experience with it. Some people have a really negative experience with it. My experience has always been very, very positive. And so, but it requires a lot of manpower, just like everything else, right? But not only just manpower from people who can watch a video and say, yes, this meets criteria, no, it doesn't, but people who can think strategically in helping you with your channel. So that's where companies like mine come in. We're kind of filling that gap and working with creators on a one-on-one basis, whether through 1 hour consultations, where we just whether it be with me or someone else, another strategist on my team, or it be through an ongoing type of relationship. We do them in 3-month stints or something like that. I think that would be great, but I do understand how expensive it is to pull that off, how much it costs to train people who can play that type of role and do it well. And so I don't know exactly how scalable that is. I'm glad YouTube's doing it for some, instead of for no one. I had that kind of theory myself, with my email, with comments, is I might not be able to respond to everyone, but I want to do for some what I wish I could do for everyone. And I can't do everyone, but that doesn't mean I should do no one. And I think that's kind of YouTube's approach right now, is we can't work one-on-one with everyone on the platform. So let's work with some and move forward from there. So like I said, that would be awesome, I think, for all of us, but I don't know how sustainable or possible that would actually be. Mrs. Samantha Roblox, when will YouTube Giving become available? Do we know? I don't know. Let me go back and look at this again. Let's see. YouTube Giving, did it say when? It says it's moving out of beta. Okay, yeah. So, will be available to thousands of creators in the coming months. So no, they didn't give a date. But it's just something that's coming. Lee the Nerd, could you use your pool to get vlogs added as a category instead of people in blogs? No. Even if I could, I don't think it won't help you. YouTube's going to categorize a lot of the stuff on your videos just based on the content itself, and so that category there, that's the closest one for vlogs. I would just stick with it, and it's not going to make a huge difference in any other way. Trevor Jones says, thank you for the super chat. You're awesome. Thank you for everything. And then Green Source DIY. Oh, good information. Thank you, Tom. $5 super chat. Says, for IRS purposes, you only need a receipt for a donation of $250. There you go. Thank you. See, that's why this community is awesome. They can fill in the blanks, and I'm like, I don't know. So that's great. Cool. Well, next week, guys, we're gonna have a super chat. Not a super chat. You can still do super chat next week. We're going to have a super privileged opportunity. A lot of you guys are used to seeing Laura. Oh, no, wait, never mind. She'll be here in 2 weeks. Laura, my producer, will be here in 2 weeks, and she will be talking with you guys as creators. So you get to see her and meet her kind of face to face. If you're on the live stream or if you're listening to the podcast recording later, you'll be able to actually hear her voice, and she has a very fun voice to listen to, and you'll see why when she's here. Next week, we're actually going to be off. I'm going to be at a family reunion. It's going to be a family vacation, and so there will be no live stream. I think I will maybe still get a podcast up for you guys. We'll see how much time I have here. But for those of you guys who are listening to this, I will still try to get something scheduled for you ahead of time, but no live stream for sure. And if you're in the live stream, you don't miss anything, make sure you go over to iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, subscribe for these weekly podcasts we're doing, just diving deeper into something that we can't normally do in like a quick 5 to 10 minute YouTube video. We can take a little bit longer, discuss it, dive into it, and talk about it in more detail. So if that's something you want to listen to, subscribe to the podcast, and really, really appreciate you guys doing that. Thank you all of you for hanging out. It's good to see you all again, and I will see you in 2 weeks for another Video Creators Podcast episode. See you guys then. Bye.